Welcome to the Weird Works podcast. I'm Dr. Christy, your host. Join us for conversations about alternative and sometimes controversial healthcare topics. This podcast will provide the evidence that you need in order to make informed decisions about your health, to empower you with the facts that you need to advocate for your health, and to encourage you that there is hope your body heals. Join us from experts from all things weird, as well as the testimonies of people with stories of radical healing who were once told that perhaps their condition was a death sentence, that they would just need to live with it, or that drugs and invasive surgery were the only answer. Let's get into agreement that if there is something natural and non-invasive that could be helpful, that it could be your first option rather than your last resort. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk to you about the 90-10 lifestyle program. So you've probably heard all this buzz and heard us talking in the office and online and on the social media, depending on where you're joining us from, about 90-10. And maybe by now you're either wondering, what in the world is this all about? What are you talking about? Or maybe you've even jumped online. Maybe you've met Stephanie. So this is Stephanie Lincoln. She can wave at you. She's a coach here. She's who you guys are going to connect with throughout the 90-10 experience. But we wanted to take a minute and just explain what 90-10 is and why you need to know about it and why we think it's the coolest thing next to sliced bread, which is a really bad joke because we're like low-carb, gluten-free people, right? So let me tell you a little bit about Steph and why I asked her to join our mission to move our coaching program to the virtual format. Steph is a licensed mental health counselor. She is also certified in personal and group fitness trainer, and she's an Army veteran, which is awesome. We love to support our military veterans. And she also has a master's degree in counseling psychology, which is cool because she specializes in eating psychology. So in a little bit, we're going to talk about the mindset for success and how to create sustainable eating plans. So you're going to very quickly understand why there's nobody that's more versed in joining the 90-10 mission than Stephanie. But she spent 10 years in the Army National Guard and worked in various capacities for the military for another 9 years. And after completing her military service, she continues her dedication to our nation's armed forces with her business, which she named Fireteam Whiskey. It has nothing to do with whiskey, so I'll let her explain that to you. But she created Fireteam Whiskey in the hopes to aid our nation's veterans, military members, and first responders in battling the enemy of obesity and obesity-related health issues. She's been featured in numerous fitness, health, and lifestyle publications such as MyFitnessPal and Women's Fitness Magazine. And she's considered locally in Jacksonville as our area's keto queen, and she's leading in the front in bringing attention to the obesity problem within the ranks of our nation's heroes. She's also my close friend. She's trained me, and I couldn't bring you anybody more capable to be our coach and just advocate for you guys at Health by Design and 90-10 Lifestyle. So thank you, Steph, for joining us.
Yeah, that was a lot. I didn't know I'd lived such a rich life.
Yeah, and she does a lot more than that too, but we don't have time to do it. She's amazing. So we thought what I would do is just explain how 90-10 came about in the first place. For those of you who know me through Health by Design, you know I'm a clinical nutritionist, kinesiologist, and chiropractor. So that's what we do in our in-office local practice. And we found a couple of needs even within our practice, even though we were getting amazing testimonials and success stories. But if anybody's ever researched healthy eating and diet and nutrition, I'm sure you've hit a brick wall and kind of come banging your head against the wall yourselves because there's so much conflicting information and advice out there, and maybe you have fallen victim to not really knowing who to listen to. And then what's sad to me is that even though there's really great information out there, a lot of people just fall short and end up defaulting back to what they already know to do or their old ways and habits and routines because they believe it's either too expensive or too difficult to achieve, or maybe they did really well for a while and then didn't get the results they would expect regardless of the time, money, and effort that they were willing to put in. And so the way we handled food in the office I've been in practice for over 19 years, almost 20 now, we have patients definitely fill out their food logs. We have the glory of being able to test our patients for their specific food sensitivities. So we kind of focus on that. And once we got the food sensitivities eliminated and found other substitutions, then we would quickly move on to helping eliminate the carbs, because if you want to know one thing that everybody could do to get the best effort or get the best result out of their efforts, rather, would be to eliminate sugar and things that break down into sugar, because we know sugar is inflammatory to all systems, all things. It contributes to disease. It doesn't matter what your symptoms or what you initially had come to us for help with in the first place. And so that was great. And we would, you guys circle the food sensitivities and we set a goal from week to week. But the whole conversation about nutrition is just so much more extensive than we could ever handle in your 10-minute follow-up visits. And so we decided that we needed a coaching program. And so we brought a coaching program on, and we've gone through several coaches in the office and several revisions of what that in-office coaching program was to look like, because anytime something's new, you want to keep working with it and get, surveys and testimonials about what's working and how to improve it. And so we kept improving it and improving it. And then COVID, of course, happened, and we realized that people weren't necessarily taking an advantage of the in-office as much as they could, because either they weren't coming on site or, cultural shift. People got used to, like tonight, having classes in the convenience of their home and being able to move through things at their own pace and at their own will. And so for really the last 1.5 years, the people that helped us create this 90-10 lifestyle and put it on an online virtual platform, I say sucked all the information out of my brain and built it in an online course platform that you guys can log into and move through seamlessly. But that we didn't want to lose the one-on-one aspect of it. We didn't want to just have it be robotic and you either made it or didn't, or completed it or didn't complete it. We wanted the hand-holding and the accountability and to be able to monitor and interact with you. And so this platform really allows us to do all of it. And it allows us to customize how you want to move through it. So I wanted to explain some of that as we go, just what is 90-10, what does that number mean, that kind of thing. And then, of course, as you guys have questions, we'll answer them as well. So Steph, help me if there's anything you feel like I should comment on that I leave out. Help me kind of answer those questions that people would necessarily want to have. Steph's been coaching now. Yeah. Steph's been coaching our patients now since we moved it to the online format. How long did we bring you on, Steph? A few weeks?
It's been about 3 weeks maybe.
Okay. Yeah. So she'll be able to represent the people that have already been moving through it, what issues, questions, concerns are coming up, and how she's able to bridge the gap between the one-on-one personal experience, being a virtual coach, and the online format with the ease and flexibility of being able to log in from the convenience of your home and move through it at your own pace, even if you want to do it at midnight, although we need you to sleep, so that's a big key. Make sure you're sleeping. Don't sacrifice your 90-10 program for sleep.
Yes, please do not do that.
It won't work.
That's funny that you bring that up, Christy, because I think that's the beauty of kind of marrying both of the 90-10 lifestyle online course and the one-on-one coaching is, you have enough time to kind of move through those topics, and you're going to talk about some of those topics today, and learn about how those things outside of just food affect your health, affect your ability to get the most out of the nutritional changes that you're making. And then you can kind of get that one-on-one, personalized, customized kind of feedback, and work on those things specifically that are getting in your way. So if you're just given like a template eating plan and you follow it, that's not very customized. It's like, it may or may not work for you, but if it's not working, how do you know why it's not working? So that's the beauty of having a nutrition coach to kind of, as you go through the 90-10 process and start implementing these things into your life, if you get stuck or if something's not working for you, or you feel like you're not getting the benefits from specific things that are coming up in the 90-10 lifestyle course, then you have me to kind of talk about those things with, and we can strategize and, figure out and experiment what those things are, and then start kind of targeting those things.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, because like we said, we didn't want to sacrifice the one-on-one individualized approach, because it was funny as they were sucking all the information out of my brain over a year and a half to build this platform. It was really difficult for me because I've only worked with patients in office, and I'm a hands-on person. We muscle test and we adjust people's spines. And so we push on arms, we push on backs. And so it was really important to me to be able to build a program where I could guarantee the same results with our online platform, as well as people got results in office, because we knew the in-office model worked. And I feel like we've really been able to do that, especially with Stephanie's like one-on-one help as well. So 90-10, I guess we'll start with what is it? The 90-10 concept, it really came as a natural extension of the old 80-20 rule. So raise your hands if you've ever heard an 80-20 principle applied to like health, wealth, accidents. It's actually called the Pareto principle. I had to look up the name of it, but there's like a couple of different varieties. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples just because then I think it'll click. So there's a lot of variations, but it says, like, for example, 20% of the people make up 80% of all the world's wealth. Additionally, 80% of your results are going to come from 20% of all of the effort that you put in. And then on a little bit different variation, 80% of all traffic accidents are caused by 20% of the drivers. So that is the principle, and it's been proven over and over again from industry to industry. However, in health, what I know is that if I tell people that it's okay to only eat healthy 20% of the time, what are most likely people going to do? They're probably going to hit it maybe 50% of the time, because it's really funny how we can be really gentle and easy on ourselves when it comes to like breaking rules or letting up on discipline, right? In other areas, it's maybe not the same case, but when it comes to eating healthy, so we said, we're not going to tell people 80-20, we're going to tell them 90-10. And that's what we found in 19 years of practice, is that if we tell patients to aim to stay on program at least 90% of the time, they'll make those lifestyle changes that actually stick more often than not. And then what we found is if we build in the 10%, the 10% is really like the motivation and what I call the staying power. And this is where Steph is going to talk a little bit and use her like psychology of eating background to talk to you about, we really are a reward-minded species. And so what we found is that if you just plan for the 10%, it's already built in. Like, you know that there's going to be occasions where it's impossible. You don't have maybe control over the menu. Maybe you're traveling with other people. It's holidays. You don't want to be rude at somebody's house. You know, you want to celebrate and just be a real person and, you know, join in once in a while. If that's part of the plan, then what we found is when you engage in those special reward type behaviors, it was a special occasion. So it was a lot more enjoyable because you weren't already doing it all the time. And then in addition, you didn't do the mindset thing, the self-sabotage, like, oh gosh, I fell off the wagon. I ate crappy yesterday. I already drank alcohol or ate sugar. So what does today matter? And then perpetuate more of the bad behavior and not be able to just get back on. So Steph, do you want to talk about a little bit about how rewards positively impact behavior, and maybe how we can shift our lives from looking for rewards other than food? There was a quote that you said probably more than once. I heard you say, you know, like, unfortunately, we've become a society where food becomes our next best friend, right?
Yeah, I say that all the time. Food is not your best friend, and food is not responsible for your emotional state.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we're trained from a very young age the exact opposite. So, you know, we not only do we have the biological things in play with the serotonin and the dopamine and the endorphins that get lit up when we eat these high sugar, high palatable, high chemical foods. And you have to realize too that these food companies, I'll put food in quotes because it's arguable that it's really food or not. They spend billions and billions of dollars on research and development, figuring out ways to make you more addicted to their foods. So, I mean, that's a huge barrier in place when it comes to beating a food addiction. So not only do you have that physiological addiction going on to these kinds of foods, but you have these psychological addictions that come into play over time. And some of this is learned behavior because, like Dr. Christie said, like you attend a birthday party. Who doesn't want birthday cake? I mean, it's your birthday. Why not have some birthday cake? You're supposed to be celebrating, right? Family get-togethers, maybe, Sunday lunches or church potlucks. We have all of these social activities in our lives that are very enjoyable and very rewarding, right? We do enjoy these things, but most of them center around food. That's just the way our social society is structured. If we go out with friends, hey, do you want to get together? We always go get something to eat, right? I mean, what else is there to do? Or even if we go to a movie theater, we're eating popcorn and drinking sodas and eating candy. So our entire society has kind of set us up to positively reward food and associate food with positive social behavior, which is great. But unfortunately, those things get in the way of our health now. Those things maybe for our ancestors were very helpful, right? Because we survived better together as a family unit, as a group, as a tribe to do these social things together. But unfortunately now, the way our society is structured and the way our food is, it's just no longer working for us. And we tend to, overemphasize and place so much social and emotional pressures and links on these foods. So a big part of that, and that's why, right? I mean, what's the statistics? Like 94% of people who start a diet fail.
Yeah. Yep.
It's not because it's rocket science. I mean, really, the things that you're learning in 90-10 is really not that complicated, and it's not a secret by any means. This isn't just like a special secret that we're letting you in on because you're joining the 90-10 lifestyle. It's pretty basic. But the problem is the social issues, the emotional connections, how we psychologically and behaviorally cannot make the adjustments in our life in order to let go of some of those emotional responsibilities that we place on food. And also we have to look at it as we are addicted to some of these foods. So it is kind of an addiction recovery process that we have to go through. And just because you pretend like you're not addicted to food, that doesn't mean that's the case. If you are alive today and breathing right now and blinking, you are addicted to food. We all are. So we just all have to, I mean, that's the first step to recovery, right? Admitting you have a problem.
I was just telling a patient that in the office the other day. I'm like, I've been doing this for years and I've been cleansing, multiple times a year and stuff. But I remember back to the first time I ever did it. And you really learn a lot about your cues and your reasons for eating and your reasons for turning towards food if you'll get self-reflective. And that first cleanse I did, granted, I was single. I had just started my practice. I had a roommate. She was gone all the time. And I recognized that just because I was doing this cleanse didn't mean all my friends were also doing it. And so it really isolated me. And I thought I was depressed for a little bit while I was going through it. And I'd never, you guys know me, like nobody's ever accused me of being depressed for a day in my life. But you really learn your reasons for eating. And I thought it was really interesting. And I've always remembered that because I haven't really ever had a weight issue or, a real true addiction to food that I wasn't able to overcome or decide it was more worthwhile to let it go. And it was really interesting and empowering, I found as well. So yeah, I think that's true. And it's maddening. Like sometimes I think like in order to make a change, it's okay to get a little mad. It's okay to like start to realize like, okay, shoot, like these companies knowingly are putting the stuff in our food that's not okay for us. And so why is that allowable in the first place? Why I think people mistakenly make the assumption that just because it's maybe in our markets, it's on the shelves, that it is considered safe. And unfortunately, that's not the truth. That's not the way it is. So I thought maybe I would talk a little bit about who needs this course, maybe who this could be for, could be helpful for. So if you are currently a patient, if you are online only, these are good for people who are new. So if you haven't ever really considered doing something healthy, this could be a good thing for you. This could be for people who maybe just need a lot of help and they've been on program with us for a while. So maybe you're not new to the program completely, but this is maybe the first time that you thought about carbs, or you want a little bit of a different edge on what you know to eat. It also can be helpful for people who have been on program for a while and maybe have found that they've resorted back to their old ways. Just that's human nature, unfortunately. And it also could be good for the virtual audience. So if I think what also happened in COVID was that as we started to do more if we started to do more virtual type of appointments, we found that we were able to reach a larger audience. So not only were we able to reach people in the Jacksonville and surrounding areas, but we could reach people remotely. And so that was really cool to me, to be able to help people with our systems and methods who couldn't get in the office or who could only travel to us periodically. And then the biggest part is, who is this for, is if you've ever found yourself saying that eating healthy is just too hard or too expensive, you are the best target market for us. Like, we are here to prove to you beyond a shadow of a doubt that that is just not the case. And that's actually what our ebook is. It's called Get a Life, and it's how to eat healthy no matter what your budget is, and also no matter how busy your lifestyle is. Because if anybody knows me, I think you could agree that I'm a busy person, and I will go out on a limb every single time and say, if me and Scott have been able to figure out how to fit this into our lives and be sustainable and make it a non-negotiable, we're adamant that we could teach you how to fit it into your lifestyle as well. So I thought what would be fun is if I gave you guys a little sample taste of one of the lessons, and then I'll highlight some of the other things that the course entails and what you get with the 90-10. And you guys feel free to chime in if there's anything that I didn't hit, just because it's my program, so maybe I'm not thinking of it from your perspective. Please let me know. So one of my favorites, there's a couple of my favorites because they're all my stuff, so duh, right? But one of my favorites, we call it the life-changing meal prep method. And this is really what Scott and I do. And I'm not telling you that because we're perfect or we think that you should do everything we do, but a little bit of background. Scott was raised in a family that, like, maybe health and diet and nutrition weren't given the top priority. They did their best with what they knew and the resources they had, but he really had to figure out a lot of this after the fact, when he was an adult and he had a son, and each of them had some health issues, and they had to kind of figure out how to reverse that, and started getting introspective about, like, gosh, what are we putting in our mouths? And then I grew up where food was our everything. Like, I'm Italian. My grandparents were like direct immigrants, and my whole life was like literally around my grandparents' dining room table. Every photograph, everybody's in the same seat. You like had assigned seating, and maybe like for the people that weren't married, like the boyfriends or girlfriends swapped out, or maybe like so after a while, like some of the cousins got married and started their own families, and then they disappeared from the family table. But other than that, that was it. We ate. Everything was. All the social settings were around eating. But the thing was that the women were miserable. They spent their whole lives in the kitchen, or they spent their whole lives, my grandpa gardened and had greenhouses. So luckily we were raised with like fresh produce and organic to a point, and everything, even if it was carbs and baked goods, were at least like homemade. But oh my gosh, there was an overabundance of food. But it was too complicated. The women were miserable. They would serve lunch, And then as soon as lunch was done, it was what's for dinner, and they would start the food prepping and everything for the dinner. And Goombas and people would come and go during the day. And as soon as people come out, the whole spread would come out and they put it down on the table and interrupt their whole lives and whatever they were in the middle of. And they hated it. I mean, I witnessed them. I was like the weird one, right? I'm still the weird one today, but I was weird back then for different reasons. Not because I did kinesiology and muscle testing back then, but I was just like, I'm going to break the mold. Like, I can't live like that. I don't want to be miserable. I don't want to spend my whole life slaving away in the kitchen, like serving people food for a lifetime. But what was funny is that as I got older, I really did want to maintain some of those traditions and learn where our food came from and stay connected and grow some of the food that we had and put it on the table and make sure that we connected with family through food and that we connected with the food we ate. But I learned how to do it in a different way, and I learned how to also have a career and be able to live a life and travel and have a little bit more balance, but make it a non-negotiable, like I said earlier. So this life-changing meal prep method, I'm going to give you a couple of highlights.
We'll be right back after these messages.
Are you tired of going from diet to diet to come up short and feel worse than you did when you started? Or are you just lost with all the mixed messaging out there today and not sure what's best for you and your lifestyle? Maybe you were told that you had to live with your symptoms and accept feeling less than your typical vibrant self. Well, I'm here to tell you the truth. As a practicing doctor of chiropractic, kinesiology, and clinical nutrition, I see people all the time that are just like you, frustrated and starting to lose hope. But I do want you to know that you do not have to give up on the you that you know you could be. There is a way to truly achieve optimal health and also to live your life. I want to share with you how, by doing some small, doable adjustments and taking on a new approach to enjoyable and non-restrictive eating, we can help you start feeling better and begin to see changes in your waistline and start releasing weight in as little as 14 days. And if you meal prep, give me a high five or wave to me in the chat. I want to see who already meal plans, and also if you have had trouble with meal prepping or want to ask me a question, or if you want to share, some ways why you think maybe you meal prepped and then you stopped meal prepping because it just wasn't sustainable or whatever, it was too hard, you hated it. I want to hear all about it so I can answer your questions. But the biggest thing that we do for meal prepping, number one, is just pick a day of the week that works consistently well for you. So in my family, Sunday seems to work. We seem to be home. Even if we had traveled for the weekend, at some point we come home and make it a priority to kind of rest and recover and get reset before the week starts. And I'll tell you guys what, if I don't do this, my week kind of is miserable and takes off without me. I just hate it when I don't already have my lunches and dinners set for me. And I'm on the third phase of this program, so I don't eat 3 meals a day anymore. I do intermittent fast, which I would be a fan of it for health reasons, but I'll tell you, it's less prep, it's less groceries, it's less expensive, it's less dishes, it's less cooking. Like, you literally don't have to worry about food for every 3 times a day. Like, 1/3 of your entire day, you don't have to worry about food anymore. So that's totally worth it, but you have to build up to it. And this 90-10 program shows you how to build up to it so you can do it. Okay, so pick a day. For us, it's Sunday. So on Sunday, even if I am traveling, I build my meal plan. So you guys have access to the Health by Design website. There's tons of recipes on there, and I'm updating it every single week. What we eat goes on that website with recipes and instructions. There's some that are a little more complicated, but most of them aren't complicated, don't require you to shop at specialty stores, and don't require weird ingredients or seasonings or sauces that you can't find in a normal store locally. So pick your day. When I'm traveling, I just decide what my few things what I'm gonna make. Usually I'll make one thing that's a large batch item. So I'll either use a crock pot or an instant pot, or if I'm home, I'll just cook it in a stock pot on the stove. So that might be a stew, a soup, a casserole, something that I can rewarm and eat several times throughout the week. So make something that's large batch. Then I'll try to also make something that is grillable. So we pick one grill meal for the week, and that usually is enough for several meals as well as lunches. And we'll grill proteins. And while the grill is on, just throw everything under the sun on there. You can grill sausages to put on your salads for lunches, or just grab and go like snacks. You can grill a couple of chicken breasts. Usually there's something chicken. So we either grill chicken breasts, chicken thighs, or chicken drumsticks every single week. Those can be incorporated into other recipes, or they can just be a standalone thing, or they can go on a salad for a lunch, or they can be made into some kind of like, you could shred it and use it like in a Mexican type of a dish, or you could shred it and make it into like a chicken salad or something. And then we pick one thing that we might cook on a weeknight, but if it requires like chopping vegetables while I'm already cooking my stuff on Sunday, I'll try to pre-chop as much of it as possible. So that's one less thing to do during the week. So an idea for those midweek things, like, think of a night where you come home and like, maybe you don't have golf or running the kids to, some kind of extracurricular. Like, you're going to come home and have a little bit of time, but you're going to be tired and you don't want it to be too complicated. So like a taco salad is awesome for this, because you literally just grab a handful of salad, put your veggies on it, cut some avocado, and we just would, in a pan, like a saute pan, make some ground beef and put some taco seasoning, and then shred some cheese and sprinkle over top. Like, literally within 5 to 10 minutes, you can make a taco salad dinner. And then that's it. I make one big salad for the whole week. So I eat salad every single week, but I don't ever get tired of it because I alternate what I put on the salad. So you can alter your vegetables, you can alter the toppings, you can put seeds and nuts on it, you can put different legumes on it if you want to be more plant-based and skip animal protein for the week. You can use olives, you can alter the type of cheese if you're not dairy-free. It's just endless what you can do with salads. This time of year, you can put feta and watermelon and shrimp on it. Hey, I see a cat. Animal Patrol. I'm surprised mine are being very good. Like, none of them have come up here. Who's that?
His name's Buddy.
Hi, Buddy. I do know Buddy, but I can't remember people's names. Buddy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Buddy's a carnivore. He loves, we feed him ground beef, steak, and chicken.
I love it. And you guys probably know Peter Pie, our therapy dog, our office dog. I was just telling somebody that. I'm like, okay, so while I'm making my salad, he'll always want the lettuce. He'll eat like shredded cabbage and carrots. He likes everything that goes in there. But he's a carnivore too, so he loves his meat, and we give him organ meat. So it might vary from week to week whether he gets like esophagus or bladder or liver, but Peter gets the best of the best. And he gets standard processed supplements as well. So you pick your days of the week, you pick your one batch, you pick some things that you can grill up ahead of time. And if you don't have a grill, if you have an apartment or you live single, no problem. Those little George Foreman grills that are countertops suffice as well. And then you make a big salad for the week that you can alter your toppings and veggies on. And then maybe pick one simple thing that you can cook up quickly, like the taco salad in the weeknight. It's also a great idea to make something that you use the same ingredients regularly for. So for example, the other week I made a big pork roast in the Instant Pot. I put it in there frozen, you guys, and I put the recipe on the website. So I put the pork roast, I cut it into quarters, but it was frozen. Put the pork roast in the crock pot with like enchilada sauce, salsa, some green chilies, and maybe some like garlic and onions. Set it for like an hour and 20 minutes. And while that was cooking, which was going to make the sauce along with it, I chopped up all things that are like for enchiladas. I chopped up cabbage, tomatoes, avocados. I got out shredded cheese and sour cream because that adds some extra fats in there. And then we used that for several things throughout the week. We put it on tortillas. We made more of like a barbecue dish with some coleslaw one night. And just you start to reuse and repurpose things. That helps you save money as well. So you're not buying a whole separate list of ingredients for 15 different recipes. It makes it less complicated, and you do all your chopping at one time, which means you only do dishes once as well, because you make a big old mess. Like I wish I should just drag my, it'd be really embarrassing, but I should drag my laptop over to the kitchen and just show you what it looks like when I get done cooking. But then you clean it once, which is amazing too. Once you get going with this and this becomes your routine, you also start to create a list of groceries. And so if you're not a person that cooks on the regular, of course there might be a little bit of stocking your pantry and getting some seasonings and your oils that you cook with and some of the staples. But after that, you just kind of reorder the same things over and over again. My other favorite tip, life-changing meal prep tip, get Instacart or shipped, you guys. When Scott and I, our Sundays, like we don't have that many days off and days together. We used to spend our entire Sunday going around foraging to like get our supplies. Then once we got home, we had to put it all away and organize it and then start meal prepping. And it was so frustrating. So now I do my meal prep. I put all the ingredients in the Instacart. Usually within a few hours or less, they deliver it. I put it all away. I'm working, I'm doing laundry, I'm enjoying the dogs and family and golfing or laying by the pool or doing something while somebody else is getting my groceries, which is so super fun. And I can get 2 or 3 stores worth of stuff delivered all at the same time to my house. So, I do like some of the big box stores. We shop at Costco to get some things bulk. You would be amazed to find out how many things they have that are organic that you can just stock your freezer with and have. We shop at here locally in Jacksonville. Our specialty store is Sprouts. I get most of our stuff from there because they'll have the gluten-free and the grain-free and keto products and just things that you can't always get from like your local grocery store. For us, it's Publix. But then whatever I don't get from Sprouts, like if they're out of stock on items or whatnot, then Publix is right down the store from us. So if you have a store that's more a common chain that's close to you that you maybe pass by on your way home from work or something, just grab those little odds and ends. Like Sprouts doesn't have the poop bags and our dog treats and like, I don't know, there's something that's way less expensive, like maybe my tart cherry juice. Sometimes Sprouts doesn't have shredded carrots. So just random things that we get. And then,
Dr. Christie, there's a couple of questions about this topic.
Tell me.
So there is one comment that's, I'll leave that to the end because I know you're going to expound upon it, but there was a couple of suggestions. Fermented veggies and sauerkraut is great as a salad topping too. It's a great idea. Anything fermented is always a good idea.
Yep.
And there was a question about homemade dressings or no dressings for salads.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so we love the fermented idea. That just adds probiotics and is great for gut health. And I know Roberta, thank you for that suggestion. She puts like the best salads. So if you guys join the 90-10 lifestyle group on Facebook, you guys can share with each other what you're making and have some inspiration and some community too. So Roberta, I want you to post your salads because they sound amazing from what I hear about them. And then the homemade salad dressings, it's really easy. Like once it's a little intimidating because sometimes you don't know like what flavors and stuff, but it's also kind of fun because then you never get bored with your salads. You literally just pick a vinegar or an acid-based ingredient. So it could be lemon juice or lime juice or a combination. It could be strawberries as well to get the citrus. So that's kind of fun right now, and at least for us in Florida. If you're not in Florida, I'm sorry, but your time will come. It will thaw out wherever you are. And then you pick an oil that you love. So it could be olive oil, avocado oil. Some people like walnut oils and some of those things. And then your favorite seasoning. So you literally could chop fresh garlic. You could put all sorts of different dried ingredients like tarragon. Definitely you want to put salt and pepper because that's just a natural seasoning that'll bring in the flavors of the other ingredients. You can use dried herbs or you can alternate with fresh herbs. If you love cilantro, you can make it a little bit more on the Mexican seasoning side. You can use fresh herbs. You can use fruits. So it's really just like an experimental type of a thing.
Yeah.
Some people just like oil and vinegar and salt and pepper.
Mm-hmm. And then Roberta also suggested the Thrive Market. Thrive Market's a great market online to purchase more healthy versions of things as well.
Yeah.
And then Charles also, I know you're going to expound upon this. So Christy was just sharing her kind of, it's the, what's the official title? The life-changing meal prep tips.
Yeah, life-changing meal prep method.
Meal prep method.
Yes.
So Charles, hopefully those tips Christy just went through are helpful. And I am not a cook. Like, I'm just not. I don't enjoy it. And I feel like the simpler the better. So and my husband cooks, he loves cooking, so he basically cooks 99% of what I eat. But when I'm on my own, I do what Christy just said. Like, and even just purchasing like a rotisserie chicken and pulling that apart and making it, one day I'll make a taco bowl, and the next day maybe I'll put it with some marinara and some mozzarella and do it kind of like a chicken Parmesan style. So that, like, to me is the most like simple meal prep kind of efforts as possible. And and that's what she's talking about, is just kind of taking 1 or 2 proteins for the week and just create, you can either use that to create several different kinds of meals, or you can just make 1 big meal or 2 big meals, like in an Instapot, which is a great idea. And then maybe just something you can throw in the oven or on the grill and make them into different meals throughout the week. So Charles had said meal planning for several days overwhelms him. So hopefully you'll check out these tips on the 90-10 lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're trying to just give you the highlights so you can get a little idea of some of the stuff. But even like what you guys were just talking about, there's a whole lesson on how to do this on the go. So for people who travel for a living, I know we have a lot of parents who have kids that are in competitive sports. And so they, have the whole family is like moving around from weekend to weekend. And so they have to figure out how to make this sustainable. So like what Steph said, and we do this like on our girls' trips and stuff too, is like, instead of going to a restaurant, we just go to a grocery store and you can buy a big thing of salad, a bunch of veggies, a rotisserie chicken, maybe some like organic chicken sausages. And right there, you've got a couple of meals, or at least your lunches for the entire week. And so, if you do, like we do a shake for breakfast every day, so that's a third of all our meals, or we wait until like we fast, and for us, we do it like mid-morning, early afternoon, then what we just described would be your lunches. And then at least you only have to deal with your dinners on the go. And that's one entire module is on the go, like approved restaurants, how to order off the menu, how to talk to your server and explain like you're not being a jerk. These are just, health concerns that you have. So if you go to a restaurant and you tell them you have a food sensitivity or a health concern, we're not telling you to, falsify that. But if that's really on your program that we're recommending for you, if you explain it from that perspective, they have to take it seriously. It's not just a like, oh, okay, you're trying to be difficult. And restaurants have gotten so good at accommodating if you're keto or gluten-free, or you want double veg instead of, a French fry or potato side. It's not really, it's not a surprise to people anymore, to servers or the chefs. So that's what's good. And then in addition, the only other last thing I wanted to tell you about our meal prep is that when we're cooking on Sunday, this takes 5 seconds, but we'll boil either a pot of lentils or quinoa or both, depending on what meals we want to make for the week. And instead of boiling it in water, we always use bone broth because we get the extra minerals and the extra collagen and protein in there. So why not, right? Make it worth your while. And those things can be layered into some of the power bowls. We've got a whole thing on how to build a power bowl on the 90-10. It's literally like a little recipe or formula that you can follow. They could be you can just get a cup, I just like sometimes put a scoop on top of my salad for a grab and go thing. And then I have this little Dash hard boiled egg cooker. It's amazing. I don't know why I have such a hard time hard boiling eggs. It's probably because there's no tried and true method, and I'm a very literal person. And so if you give me 15 ways to hard boil an egg, I really easily get confused and don't know who to trust or believe. and then it doesn't turn out good. So this little dash thing every single time turns out amazing. You measure the water, you poke little holes in the eggs, you put them in the thing, you turn it on, and the timer goes off when it's done, and they're perfect. So we just hard boil 6 eggs almost every single week, and you can just eat them on the go. You can slice them up and make egg salad. You can put them on a salad. I don't know, but you should have them in your fridge because then you always have something. And it's really filling. So if all of a sudden you get a craving for something unhealthy and you get a hunger pang or too much time has gone between meals, if you eat an egg, and as long as it's not a food sensitivity, you're going to feel better, and all those cravings to go pick something less healthy for you and less fulfilling and less nutritional will go away, which is great. Okay, any other questions before I move on? So that was one example of a sample course that's in the 9010. And you guys, there's over 50 of these lessons in here. I went through and counted because I was like, I have never actually counted. I wonder how many downloadable PDFs there are. There's over 50.
Yeah, there are a lot. And definitely take the time to look at that because you do have the modules. I mean, you may, if you've been in the 9010 lifestyle and explored it a little bit, you have the modules. A lot of them have videos, some of them don't. And then really good, just kind of summarizing information about the topic. And then to the right, you'll see a PDF or maybe even 2 for that module. So there's just expounded information. So don't forget those are there because you're only getting part of the information if you're not going ahead and taking a look at the PDF as well. So don't forget to do that. And there's just one last question, Dr. Christie, on that topic, and then we can move on to the next.
Sure.
Somebody asked about what is your favorite bone broth brand?
We don't really have a favorite brand. Honestly, we buy Costco usually has like a big 6-pack of chicken bone broth. As long as it's organic, I really don't care. There's some really cool ones that even like our local grocery store Publix has that are just in the individual little cartons. I know Steph gave me one. What is that one? Kettle and Fire.
Kettle and Fire, yes, they're pretty good.
They're really good too. I really don't care as long as it's bone broth instead of normal like vegetable or chicken or beef stock. That's not the same, so it has to say bone broth. And you'll know because it's a little thicker consistency, and it just has to be organic. Those are my really only constituents, and I love that I can buy like a 6-pack and have like, you know, there are 4 cups in a normal carton, those like cardboard cartons. So the amount that we use it, if I can get it for a decent price, I'm happy with it. I have made it myself in the Instant Pot just for fun, which is cool. You can save it, you know, put it in like mason jars. It's just funny, right? Like even I go through phases where sometimes I would just really want to be like a pioneer woman and try something new, like making yogurt in the Instant Pot or starting a sourdough starter and having that. We went through a kombucha phase, and there's Peter. I knew he'd come. Hopefully he doesn't make noise. He's got a carrot. He's gonna eat his carrot on the 9010. Good boy. And then other times I just want to buy it and have it on site and ready to go and rock and roll. So, you know, it just depends on how much time you have on hand as well. Okay, so let's see. I wanted to just share with you, now that you kind of sampled a little bit of that, other things that you get with the course. Steph was talking a little bit about all the different PDFs and making sure you use it. Like she said, you know, there's different modules. Basically, it's broken into 3 phases. And so we have reset, refine, and recharge. And so it's 3 phases of eating. You get our custom macros. So a little earlier ago, I was talking about like it was really important to me to figure out how to nail this all down for people who don't see us on site, that I could guarantee that they would get the same results. And so there's all different macro formulas. Steph could tell you about this, right? Like calculating macros. And a lot of times this is a sore subject for people because they're like, I'm not going to calculate macros. And I've been the same. Like I would never do it for life. And I don't recommend that you need to live your life being a scientific formula. But sometimes you need to go through an exercise long enough to get the familiarity so that you can become an intuitive eater and so that you can get familiarized with what a healthy balanced plate looks like for you specifically. And so we built a custom macro calculator where you put your age, your height, your weight in there, and then your goals and your activity levels. And those are important. So if you're following a macro calculator that doesn't have all those different categories, it can't really calculate and put something out specifically for you. And so based on that, then the macros change the percentage of carbs, fats, and proteins depending on what phase you're in. And so the first phase is really about just getting the crap out. It's about starting to learn healthier substitutions for the things that you might be eating on the regular. And so those lessons are going to be catered around how to shop, how to read labels, just in general, how to be a smarter consumer so you can be knowledgeable about what you're putting in your body and how to recognize healthy foods versus their unhealthy versions. Okay. In the second phase, we get a little bit stricter and we start to cut the carbs down a little further while we introduce more fat-based recipes and focus on increasing your protein. And so all the recipes and all the meal plans are going to be catered around what to shop for, what are acceptable foods, what to introduce at each phase. So you get your template as well as your shopping list as well as recipes to try that are for each course. And then in the last phase, which is super fun, we take you through an exploration of eating different ways. And so that the goal is at the end of exploring how you feel and how your body responds and what your response is based on weight loss, symptom removal, energy, sleep, you name it, that you're going to know by the end of the third phase how your body does, what it does the best on, and what to do for sustainable. Because I think what the 90-10 isn't is almost as important as what the 90-10 is and what the 90-10 includes. And what we always say is what it isn't is deprivation. So there's no way that you can cut out major food groups for long unless you're a special individual and are going to dedicate your entire life to this, which certain people do. Like Stephanie is one of those people, but most people aren't going to be able to be successful as a carnivore like she is because they're just not going to do it. Cool. But if you're not going to, then you follow this method. So it's not deprivation. You know, there's diets out there that like literally won't even allow you to have a tablespoon of like healthy fat for an entire week. And I'm like, that is not healthy. Your body needs fat. Your brain needs fat. Your cells are made up of protein and fat. You know, you actually need to eat fat in order to burn fat and become a fat burner. So you need fat to make hormones. You need fat for all sorts of different things in your body. So to not get a tablespoon of fat a day is not sustainable. So it's not deprivation. It's not over restriction, meaning that, you know, for 20 years, I've heard people say, like, I'm not going to just eat like a bird and eat twigs and berries. Like, I'm not going to be able to survive on that. You guys have heard it all. We're not asking you to eat twigs and berries and granola and that kind of a thing. So that would be depriving your body. And also, like we were just talking about the reward-based thing. If you feel like you're depriving your body, you're not going to be successful on a program. So if we can get your body to start burning the proper fuels and feel satisfied because the food you're eating is balanced and it's flavorful and it has multiple textures involved in it, you're going to be happier. It's not the self-sabotage. We talked about that. So by following something that's too restrictive and depriving your body and your, you know, mindset about something, you're just not going to stick with it. And then you're going to feel bad about yourself. And it's this yo-yo thing and this awful cycle of hating yourself and falling off the wagon and starting over again. Like, that's exhausting. And the other thing is it's not short term, right? So I've seen it all. There's 9-day challenges. And we do a 21-day cleanse, but it's whole food based and it's balanced. There's 30-day, you know, fasts. There's all sorts of different, put a number in and put whatever kind of like challenge or name diet in there. It doesn't work. Anybody could do something for 21 days or 9 days, but then most people are just like celebrate that it's over and go get a cheeseburger and fries or order a pizza and are like, oh, I'm so glad I made it 21 days. And they didn't learn anything. They didn't change their relationship with food. You know, and they didn't even like restock their pantry with like healthier substitutions that they could like grab and go on the fly. So I think it's just important to tell you that it's none of that. And it's not a diet, because diets just don't work. I always said that, like, diets, what are the 3 first letters in diet? It's DIE, which is die, because it doesn't work. You're literally killing some part of your body, or making your body adapt to like that whole rob Peter to pay Paul kind of an idea. So like maybe you could sustain it for a little while, but it's at the cost of something else in the body. So that's not going to be a long-term solution. I see some questions have come in, or at least there's something in the chat. Anything that I should address before we move on? Okay.
No, I answered the question. Somebody asked where the macro calculator was, so I just let them know where it was on the 90-10 lifestyle. We'll be right back after these messages.
Americans spend $33 billion every single year on diets and weight loss products, and yet diets have a 95% failure rate. These statistics and my 18 plus years experience as a practicing doctor show me the real dangers of a cookie cutter approach to health, and that truthfully, diets don't work. This is why I created the 90-10 lifestyle, for the people like you and me, busy and not willing to settle for less when it comes to our health and wellness. This program isn't just about feeling fantastic and or losing weight for good. It's a roadmap to upgrading your body and mind from the inside out, while simultaneously suppressing the inflammation and suppressing the guilt that often comes with a high stress, high expectations, and high performance. The number one reason the 90-10 lifestyle is so effective and easy to maintain is that it gives you back your willpower instead of forcing it. Okay, awesome. And like I said a little earlier, all the links that we are referencing will be in the show notes. So once we publish this on the YouTube channel as well as the WeirdWorks podcast, you'll get all the links right there in the notes, so that's easy for you guys to access.
Yeah, so if you're not currently a 90-10 lifestyle member, so if those of you who are listening or watching, that will be included. So what Dr. Christie was just talking about with the macro calculator is a part of the 90-10 online lifestyle course. So you go through the first kind of introductory modules, you learn a little bit of the basics, you know, those tips on meal prepping, all that, and then you start your reset phase. So this is just phase 1 of 3 phases you'll go through with your eating plan. So your eating plan is going to get more and more refined. So part of that for the first part is to go ahead and track your macros, and not, like Christy said, for you to, be a math equation for the rest of your life. It's more just about, especially in the reset phase, it's about awareness. So, 9 times out of 10, you are not aware of the things that you're putting in your mouth. And the reset phase takes you through that in the whole module of I think of it as an awareness phase. It's just you're becoming aware of the ingredients in your foods and your drinks, how to read labels, all the kind of basics. So then you have the awareness to start making healthier decisions. So, swap outs, that's the big kind of swap out modules you learn about. So that's where these calculators come into play. So at the beginning of each phase, you have the opportunity to recalculate, not based on the fact that you're going to be calculating and doing math for the rest of your life of everything you eat. It's more just for taking you to the next phase, getting you to the next step. Maybe in the next phase, in phase 2, you only track for maybe a week or 2. And then maybe in phase 3, maybe you just track for a week, just to make sure you're on track with the new eating plan. And then it's just so intuitive, you're doing it naturally anyway. You don't need to track anymore.
Yep, I love it. That's a great way to explain it. Because I've done it before, but I won't do it forever, And then like Steph, I did keto for a while, and I got the little keto monitor, and I pricked my finger every once in a while and just wanted to check in, like, is my body registering ketones? And then once I knew what I was eating and what my habits were and how, what my window for fasting was, I don't need to do that anymore. Like, I know if I'm in ketosis and I feel, clear-minded and have energy and I can go for hours without eating, without looking for snacks. But that's something you build up to. And then I don't have to like do a macro anymore or, poke my finger. Remember how girly I was about the finger poking?
Yes, yeah. Dr. Christie had a really hard time with taking her own blood for the first few times.
No, for every time. I don't even think it ever got better. So I suffered, you guys. I have suffered for your benefit with all the research. I will tell you, to this day, I have never asked anybody to do anything that I haven't first done myself, and that is God's honest truth. And I promise to continue in that fashion.
Right.
But
it's all about data, right? So here's I think the biggest mistake people make when they, make any kind of change. I mean, like any kind of change, not even just nutrition. We don't track data. We just go, okay, I'm going to change this. And then, and then a few weeks go by and we're like, well, I don't even think this is working. So you just go back and there's no like tracking of data to see really, is this really working? Have I noticed any changes? And not just on the scale, so that's another part of the 90-10 lifestyle is you have the opportunity to kind of journal the non-scale victories. You're noticing, the changes. You're doing a snapshot. How do I feel now? And how do I feel at the end of this module? So you're comparing the two and you're figuring out, okay, this, and this, these things have changed. I've noticed some progress. So it's all about collecting the data. And that's why we do some of those experiments like that, like pricking your finger and, and doing your macros. So you have data to see, is this really working? Because you don't need to be doing something that's not working for you, right? So let's collect the data and see. And if you run into a stumbling block, and if you feel like, wow, I'm just doing everything that says I should be doing, and I'm just not feeling results, I feel like, nothing's changed, then that's when, if you're working with me one-on-one, that's what we need to be talking about. We need to start kind of exploring those things and finding, kind of looking for clues. And the only way you're going to find the clues is in the data. Yep. If you say, well, I haven't lost any weight, I haven't noticed any difference. Okay, well, let's see. What have you been doing? I don't know. I haven't recorded anything. Well, it could be anything then. I mean, it could be because it was a full moon. I don't know, where do we start? Because you didn't gather any data. Mm-hmm. So it's not that we're trying to make you miserable, when we give you some macros or, when I put you on a specific eating plan for a little while and make you track, it's just gathering the data so we can kind of make an educated decision about if you figure out that this isn't working for you or it's not working fast enough. So we can kind of target those things. And then, of course, going in to see Dr. Caroline or Dr. Christie, whoever you're seeing for nutrition response testing, and bringing that to light, maybe doing some testing and bringing in some foods that you're eating and getting tested on them and figuring out, maybe this is a stumbling block in your way. Maybe this is preventing you from being able to move forward.
Agreed. And I love that you said that. Like, and a lot of times it's two things. Like, people either didn't give it long enough or they introduced too many variables. They don't really they really just don't introduce one thing at a time and track it and know, like, beyond a shadow of a doubt that the one thing was what affected them. And so that's what all that like hand holding and accountability is. That's what we're here for, because life is busy and people, your life isn't just a one-way street. It's not always reproducible day to day, week to week. And so we can help you kind of weed out those additional things that you don't know, like what is causing what anymore. So I think that's totally true. So other cool things from the course, when you are on the 90-10 and you're logged in as a member, you guys get access to this for life. So what's cool is that you can retread, and we're always adding more content and more recipes. So you'll always get all the updates and extra content that's being added to it. You can access it on all of your devices. So you can do it on a laptop, a tablet, on your cell phone. It's actually through the Kajabi platform. So if you've ever taken any other online courses, chances are if you have the Kajabi app on one of your smartphones or devices, all your courses will be there, even if they're not from me and Health by Design. You can log into Kajabi and see all the courses you've ever taken and access those. So that's pretty cool. Some of our patients who've already had the most fun and done the best have actually printed out each of the PDFs and have a little binder and have it all like organized in order so that they can easily reference it as they need to, go back to things. You don't have to. You can also save it into your Google Drive and have it categorized, like make different chapters, which is cool. So sometimes in each module there's a video, so we give a little brief explanation. There's either a downloadable PDF or like a digital health assessment, like a little quiz for you to take, which is great because then you can come back and take it later to see if your scores change as you move through the program and you improve. Of course, recipes, there's sample meal plans and templates, including shopping lists. You get all of our top hacks for feeling your best, so that was super fun to create. You get links to our favorite products. So that's something that we'll continue to add and update, as we find. You guys were asking, I think, about my favorite salad dressing or my favorite bone broth. If there is something that I think is brand specific that you should know about, we'll put links so you could just like order it right there, including supplements. So for some of our Health by Design people, the standard process, we have a whole online category where you can actually click and order your products, especially if we recommend like fiber or a protein shake or something in there, as well as like just general immune support and fish oils, that kind of thing. And you also get community. So that's how we do this together. We lift each other up and handhold and encourage. So when you're in the 90-10 lifestyle, you also get added to our 90-10, like our private Facebook group. And then get to interact with each other. So I challenged Roberta to go ahead and post pictures of her salads. Every week I post what I'm meal prepping to encourage you and try to learn from you as well. I get encouragement from you guys as well. Sometimes I get bored and what I cook on the regular gets stale. So I like to get inspiration from you guys and just share tips and tricks and hold each other accountable as well. And then some of my favorite topics, the course materials I thought I would share. Healthy swaps is one of the biggest things. So in order to not be like over restrictive and just all deprivation and cut things out, it's important that we teach you healthier swaps for the things that you might already be buying and eating on the regular so that you can make those replacements. And then there's like health specific topics. So there's things about bone health, cholesterol myths, the truths about fats, specific things like that. Definitely a lot of mindset. The third phase, we talked about like working up to like intuitive eating and going through different phases of tracking how you respond, but we really hit on like spirituality, mindset, lifestyle swaps, and also starting to detox some of the personal care items and things that you use in and around your home as well, so that we can detoxify the things that we're being exposed to on the regular. We talked about the reading labels, which is how to shop. If you can become a smart consumer, then you can take that forever, and your family members will also kind of mimic after you. How to build a balanced plate, like we talked about, so you don't have to count macros forever. Intuitive eating, just knowing what your body thrives for and what those cravings really mean. And when you think you want sugar, what are you really missing in your diet, and how maybe fats or proteins will actually satisfy that instead of going for something unhealthy. Cholesterol myths, mindset for long-term success, motivation and encouragement. It's all built in there. Of course I love it because it's my program, but we really wanted to make it all encompassing in a really well-rounded, well thought out program that gives you still like one-on-one individualized attention, and that you can make it your own and that you can come back to and build off of it and learn. It's like a movie, right? If you watch it over and over, don't you always see something new and different depending on where you are in your life and what you need to hear? You could read a book over and over again and then be like, I don't even remember that chapter was there, but it's just what you need in that moment in time. So last second, if there's any other questions to answer. Steph, did I miss anything that I should be highlighting? I know when you guys get to the show notes, so definitely check in the show notes. If you are a practitioner and you want something like the 90-10 for your patients and you don't have time to create this, we do have affiliate opportunities where you can offer this entire program like a box, right to your patients. So there will be affiliate opportunities for that. We also, for patients who are using this or for the listeners, there will be discount codes. So if you share the 90-10 with your referrals, you'll be able to earn credits. And then we also will share a link for the ebook. So it's still on discount price. And then once it hits Amazon, the price will go up to, I think, $20. Steph might know the details on that a little bit more than I do. But we're going to put all those codes for a limited time in the show notes for you guys.
Yeah, I think and just really the summarizing is the 90-10 lifestyle is, it's like you're kind of learning a new way of seeing nutrition, and it's a lot of information, and it can feel overwhelming if this is kind of, you're just starting your nutrition cleaning up process, and you're coming out of the diet mindset. So it might be a little confusing because you feel like, wow, this is a totally different approach to what I've been done in the past. And so we don't expect you to memorize it. We don't expect you to know everything about it. We're not going to make you take a test and you get a fail or, or a pass. It's something that it's a reference you can go back to over and over again. Like Dr. Christie said, you may have missed something the first time around. So make sure to go back to it and reference it and go, I remember there was a chapter about about protein sources. Let me go back to that and read up on that, because I'm kind of feeling like I want to try different protein sources. So, just know that you don't have to have it memorized, and, and like the title, it's 90-10. So we still want you to have that space in your life where you can kind of maybe let go a little bit, do some things maybe outside of your eating plan on occasion as a treat, but keep it as a treat, and that it doesn't turn into, a spiral back to your old ways of eating, or, it leads to weeks and weeks and weeks of being. That comes down to is it's a healing process. So just imagine if you have a wound like on your body and it's been bad for a very long time, which most of us, we go decades and decades with just ruining our health over and over and over again. Just imagine that wound getting worse and worse. And now you're finally taking the steps to heal the wound. So, if you start kind of taking care of it, keeping it clean, putting, salves and bandages on it, but then all of a sudden on a weekend, you kind of start scratching at it again. Okay, well, it may not be going back to the original damage and how bad it was at first, but remember that you're still in a healing process. So we want to get back to healing it as quickly as possible. So having those treats on occasion is okay, very temporary, but remember, this is a lifestyle. That's why it's called a lifestyle, not a diet.
Amen. I love Steph's analogy. Hers has the best. I'm like, yes, that's the way to say it. I love it.
Oh, and be patient. Yeah. You've done decades of damage to your body. I have too. I'm not blaming you. I'm not judging you. I've done it too. So, and a lot of it isn't our fault. We were taught different ways, or, the way things are, the things that are put in our food and our water, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You learn all about that 90-10. So you've got to be patient with this process. We can't expect decades of damage to be healed in 90 days, 30, 3 months, 6 weeks, whatever any other diet out there promises you, it's unrealistic, right? So we want to get you started on the path to long-term healing. So it's going to take a while. I've been on this journey only since the age of 35, so 7 years now, and I'm not completely healed, but I'm a million times better than where I was when I started, but it was only because I've been consistent all these years. And, my going off wagon or whatever was super, super temporary, and that I've kept the forward progress. So that's what the 90-10 lifestyle is all about. It's keeping the forward progress. That's why it's not 50-50. 50-50, you're not going anywhere, right? So if you really are eating 50-50 and your lifestyle's 50-50, you're not making progress, right? So we want you to keep making good progress at a good pace so you can heal as quickly as possible, but it's not something that's going to be done in 30 days or whatever, these programs, these diets out there promise you.
Right. If it sounds too good to be true, it might be too good to be true.
It definitely is.
So Steph's exactly right. This helped you build grace into your health journey, to give yourself time and just to really honor the body. We call our in-office program Health by Design. We have a lot more hope, and we honor the fact that the body can heal much more than traditional medicine does. We know what you're capable of and what your potential for healing is. And so that's just why we're so adamant about continuing to, add more information and put more good out into the world and contribute to what you have access to, because we're hoping that as you continue to tap into these resources and fully take advantage of all the things that we put out there, that you can even just get a little bit of a glimpse and an idea of what could be capable for your health and your longevity, and what you can put back into your families and what you can contribute to your, community, because you're clear and you're solid and you're present, and your body literally physically isn't holding you back from your full potential. So that's what we hope and desire and want for you. And if you want some of those same beautiful, amazing things, then, we just encourage you to click on the links in the show notes, follow us, join the community, and we're here with you. So thank you guys, everybody. You've been an amazing audience. You're the enlightened people that we love tapping into. You build us up. Thank you, Steph, for being a part of 90-10 and for helping our people find true health and happiness. And until next time on the Weird Works podcast, we will chat soon. Your health and how you feel on a daily basis directly impact your mental, emotional, and spiritual health. We will help you reprogram your way of thinking and be on a plan that works for your body instead of against it. It is time to rewrite the false belief that health abnormalities are normal and that it just is what it is. You do not have to live with feeling less than 100%.
We invite you to take a serious look at how you feel on a day-to-day basis. Is what you're doing working? Do you want to learn how to live a more holistic life that's still enjoyable and fun? The 90-10 lifestyle can be the bridge from subpar results to the vibrant and abundant lifestyle that you've been looking for. So click the link by this video so you can get started today. We truly, truly know that this program can change your life. We'll see you on the inside.
Want a sneak peek of the 90-10 lifestyle? Watch this video.